In this video, I will be taking a look at 10 of my most recent purchases, including brand new flankers from the Acqua line, a new one from the YSL L'Homme lineup, and one from the Givenchy Gentleman range. But are they as good as the ones that came before them? To find out, stay tuned to Mags Frags. Hello again everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mags Frags. I'm Paul. So over the past couple of weeks, I've purchased quite a few new designer fragrances and I've been testing them out on a daily basis and gathering my thoughts on them. I've also bought a few that have been around for quite a while now that don't get talked about as much as they used to. So I'll also be giving my opinion on these ones to see if I would still recommend them. So this video is not sponsored and I've bought all of these with my own money so that I can give you an honest and unbiased opinion. I would have liked to have given each one of these a little bit more of an in-depth review, but I'm currently in the last semester of a degree course, so I can only commit to creating like a weekly roundup video at the moment. But I'm hoping to build a channel quite quickly as soon as my studies come to an end. So that's enough of my intro waffle. Let's just dive in and see what these fragrances smell like and how they perform. So first up on this list is one from Giorgio Armani. And this is the latest flanker from the popular Acqua lineup, and this one goes by the name of Profondo. So if you own or if you are familiar with the Acqua range, you'll know that these are fresh, clean and aquatic fragrances. I owned the original Parfum version back in the 1990s, but no longer have that one in my collection. One that I do definitely own though is the Profumo flanker, and I can tell you straight off the bat that this is a slightly tweaked, slightly diluted version of the Profumo, but it's not as sharp and it's not as piercing as that one, which makes this probably a little bit more suitable for the office or to wear as a day scent. It opens up with a fresh blast of citruses, but it's a bitter, spicy freshness with bergamot, mandarin orange and a synthetic chemical listed as Aquazone, which I presume gives it its salty marine type characteristic. It dries down to a subtle, light shower gel type smell and sweetens up a touch. From the few times that I've worn this one, I'd say that it stays fairly close to the skin. Either that or I get a nose mic to it, because I stopped detecting this one after about half an hour or so. But that's all I can say really about this one. It's a mass appealing, clean, fresh, bright and pleasant fragrance. Very versatile, and you can just grab this and go anytime. But it is just another designer blue fragrance to add to the hundreds that are already out there. I've read mixed reviews on this one, with people saying sometimes that it's boring and disappointing, whilst others are saying it's amazing. But this one is a difficult one for me, because I would say that if you already own the Profumo or the Absolute or even the original, this is not going to excite you and it will leave you probably feeling a bit underwhelmed. But if you don't own any of the other flankers, then this one is the one I'd probably recommend, because it's not as loud and it's not as pungent and it stays a little bit closer to the skin. I find that the Profumo can get a little bit annoying and headache inducing, especially if you go a little bit too heavy on the trigger. I'd give this one a solid 7 out of 10, but I personally prefer quite a few other freshes. I'd be going for either a Chanel Allure or the Bleu de Chanel, or even maybe Dior Homme Sport over this one. Another thing that I've noticed about this one is if you own the Profumo version, you notice it had a magnetic cap. This one doesn't have a magnetic cap. This one has a clip-on cap, which may be a deal breaker, but it wasn't for me. But yeah, this is just another spring summer fresher that I think you should maybe try out. Who knows, you might like it, but I'm just a little bit concerned about the performance. So, but there you go, that is Profondo by Acqua, and that is the latest one from Giorgio Armani. Okay, this next one is another new one for 2020, and this is from the house of Givenchy, and this is Givenchy Gentleman Boisee Eau de Parfum. This is a woody, spicy fragrance that opens up with a gorgeous, elegant blend of woods, spices and a touch of cacao and a fairly prominent note of iris that kind of made me start comparing it to Dior Homme Intense. But when I compared them side by side, the Dior is much more sweet and powdery, whilst the Givenchy is a touch more masculine and a bit dirtier with the presence of spices and woody notes. The top notes in this are pepper, coriander and geranium. In the heart we've got iris, cedar and cacao, and in the base notes we've got sandalwood, patchouli and other woody notes. When I first sprayed this one, I absolutely loved it. It was sweet, warm and elegant, and it had a really rich and smooth character to it. For me, it's got just the right balance of sweetness and earthy notes. The only downside is that it doesn't project very well and it becomes a skin scent in less than an hour, which is such a shame. But if you're looking for a subtle fragrance that you can enjoy without choking out everybody in the office, then I would say just give this one a try. But if you're looking for an alternative to this for the springtime, I'd probably recommend La Nuit de l'Homme L'Intense or the tried and tested Dior Homme Intense. But as far as smells go, 9 out of 10 for the smell. The performance, I would have to give this maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10. The longevity on this is really good. I still get wafts of it 6 to 7 hours, but it's just the projection. It just doesn't project whatsoever. I've asked people if they can smell it when they've been like a foot away from them. They've said no, I can't detect it. So that's the only downside. But in terms of smell, beautiful smell is this one. So yeah, the brand new one from Givenchy, that is Givenchy Gentleman Boisee Eau de Parfum. Okay, this next one often gets compared to Creed Aventus, which I can definitely agree with, but it's also got its own scent character. This one is from the house of Mancera and goes by the name of Cedrat Boisee. Yeah, this one is a fruity fresh unisex fragrance that opens up with bergamot, lemon, blackcurrant and spicy notes. The fruitiness stays throughout the life of the fragrance, but the presence of leather, vanilla and woody notes in the base start to appear during the dry down. If I was going to compare this to Aventus, it would be one of the fruitier batches, as I don't detect any smokiness in this one whatsoever. The performance is totally fine. I get at least 5 to 6 hours of longevity out of this, and it projects really well. You can pick this one up now for around about £70 for a 125ml bottle on eBay. So for that price, it's great value if you're looking to dip your toe into the niche pond. This is perfect for the coming spring season, as it's bright, it's fresh and it's clean, and it's really versatile. It can be worn during the day or for a night out. It's fine with a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, but it would also work well dressed up in a suit for a formal occasion. And that's really all I can say about this one. Yeah, it has got a little bit of an Aventus vibe to it, but it's got enough of its own character to kind of not call it an Aventus clone. So yeah, that's Mancera Cedrat Boisee. Okay, this next one is the third flanker to be released from the Bleu de Chanel line. It came out in 2018, and this follows the original Eau de Toilette version from 2010 and the Eau de Parfum version from 2014. This one is Chanel Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Yeah, the original EDT version of Bleu de Chanel is one of my all-time favourites. Its bright, citrusy opening combined with its elegant woody base notes made it a massive hit and spawned hundreds of similar blue fragrances. It is the most versatile dumb reach fragrance in my collection without doubt. The Parfum version though is a slightly darker and more dense version of the EDT that doesn't scream and jump off the skin. It smells very similar to its predecessors, so if you either own the EDT or EDP versions, then this might be a redundant purchase, as I don't feel there's enough of a difference to warrant the extra cost. In terms of performance, I get decent projection and probably about 9 hours of longevity, but if you want to get noticed, I'd go for the EDT or the EDP over this one, because they do project a little bit better than this. This is almost a powdery blend of lemon zest and sandalwood. I can't detect any of the floral notes listed in the description. To me, it's just a balanced blend of citrus and wood. My nose isn't sensitive enough to be able to isolate single notes, so I can just give you an overall feel of what I'm getting from this one. It's just a fresh, citrusy opening with more of a woody dry down. I read a review on Fragrantica recently that said that the EDT version is a Ferrari and this one is the Rolls Royce, which I would tend to agree with. This is suitable for day or night, dressed up or dressed down, and basically you can wear this for any occasion. If I had to get rid of all my fragrances that I own and just keep one, then this one would be definitely one that I would consider. It's a cracking scent, but it is quite pricey. It's over £100 for a 100ml bottle like this one, so I wouldn't recommend you go blind buy this, because it isn't for everybody, but it is for most people. That is Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Okay, moving on to another brand new release, and this one is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. It's the latest flanker to the L'Homme lineup, and this one is L'Homme, Le Parfum. Yeah, the best way to describe this is if La Nuit de l'Homme, the original, and the Eau Electrique version got together and they had a baby, they would spawn this. From the initial spray of this one, I get an instant blast of cardamom, which gives it a similar smell to La Nuit de l'Homme, the original. The weird thing is that the cardamom lasts for about 20 seconds and then it turns into an even more synthetic version of the Eau Electrique version of the La Nuit de l'Homme lineup. I don't understand why this has been branded as a L'Homme flanker, because it smells absolutely nothing like the original L'Homme or my favourite one, the L'Intense version. It seems to me like that YSL have ran out of like La Nuit de l'Homme names, and they've all got together and thought, well, we'll just stick it under the L'Homme branding. The overall smell is okay, but it is just okay. It's another Bleu designer fragrance that has a bright opening and a synthetic amberwood dry down. I've only worn it a couple of times, but I'd have to say that the performance isn't great, and overall I was left feeling a little bit underwhelmed considering it's a Parfum concentration. The presentation and the colour of the juice, however, is stunning. I really like the bottle design, but I wouldn't recommend anyone to go blind buy this, because there are many more better options both in the YSL range and from other brands. When I first saw this advertised online, I saw the colour of the juice and I was really excited to pick this one up. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm giving it a bit more of a hard time. But I was quite underwhelmed with this one because it doesn't come close to some of the La Nuits, and also the this version here. If you're wanting the best L'Homme version, I would say the L'Intense. It's got a very similar type smell to Paco Rabanne 1 Million, very sweet, very seductive, but that's the one that I would recommend in the L'Homme lineup. So yeah, that is the new flanker from Yves Saint Laurent, and that is L'Homme, Le Parfum. Go check it out. Okay, next up we have another one from the house of Mancera, and this one is Wild Cherry Eau de Parfum. Yeah, this one is marketed as a unisex fragrance, but to me it leans heavily towards being a feminine fragrance. If you smell Tom Ford's Lost Cherry and think that this is going to be a similar note, take on cherry, then think again. This has a totally different take on the cherry note. This is kind of a medicinal cherry flavoured cough sweet type vibe, whilst Tom Ford's Lost Cherry smells like a sweet cherry pie or a cherry compote. The notes listed in this are bergamot, lemon and cherry up top. In the mid we've got orris, jasmine, patchouli and heliotrope. And in the base we've got white musk and vanilla. The opening is definitely not my favourite part of this fragrance. It is so sharp that it makes me sneeze nearly every time I apply it. I think it's because my brain is tricked into thinking that it's going to be sweet, and then I get hit by an explosion of bitter citrus and like tart cherry, and that just throws my senses all over the place. The dry down is much better though, once the harsh synthetic opening has gone and the vanilla and the musk start to come through, which gives it a more creamy and balanced blend. This is very powdery and has prominent florals in the dry down. The best way I can describe it is by saying it's like smelling a bouquet of flowers while sucking on a cherry sweet. It sounds weird, I know, but once you smell this one, you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from. The performance is beast mode, both in longevity and projection. This is a 12-hour monster with 3 to 4 hours of projection, and I would say it was probably best suited for cooler months or maybe springtime. I think this would be challenging to the alpha male, and it would take a very confident man to be able to rock this one. But I can imagine that lots and lots of women will really enjoy this one because it's got that kind of perfume type vibe, that real lipsticky vibe. So yeah, that is it's a very, very popular one, and that is Mancera Wild Cherry. Okay, next up is one that has been around since 2014, but is still popping up on reviews and in fragrance forums. This one is from Bulgari, and this is Bvlgari Man in Black. Yeah, this is a rich, warm, seductive scent that would be ideal for dressed up occasions or to wear during colder months. It's very elegant and has a luxurious quality to it. This one doesn't waste any time, and from the very first spray I can detect a dark, masculine blend of tobacco, leather and the boozy note of rum. This is sweetened further by the presence of iris and tonka bean, and at the base includes guaiac wood and benzoin. There's also a touch of spiciness and a powdery feel from the iris, but this doesn't dominate the fragrance. One concern I have about it though is it may come across a little bit animalic depending on your skin chemistry, and sometimes I get the odd whiff that comes across a little bit like smelling of sweat. And no, it's not me before you leave any comments in the comment section. But yeah, I do, every now and again I might just get the odd whiff that kind of, is that me? But though it's definitely coming somewhere from this one. The performance on this is great. I can still detect this 5 to 6 hours after I first spray it, maybe even a bit longer. But I wouldn't wear this in warmer temperatures or as a day scent because it's pretty dense. But as a night out or a date night scent, it will have you smelling $1 million, albeit with a touch of masculine BO. But yeah, that's Bvlgari Man in Black. Go test it out. See what you think. Okay, we are almost at the end of this list now. This next one has appeared on countless amounts of top 10 lists, and it's one that I personally have a bit of a love-hate relationship with. This one is from the Amen range, and this is Amen Pure Malt by Thierry Mugler. Yeah, this one is simple to describe. It's the heaviest night out that you've ever had, multiplied by 10 and bottled. You know that night when you're face down in a pool of your own vomit? That's pure malt. This is the boozy rock star of the fragrance world. It's one of the designer fragrances that I'd say has a real niche quality about it. It opens up with an aggressive punch to the face that is sure to put a few people off, but after as they apologise and settle down, you begin to realise that it's not such a bad lad after all. The notes in this are bergamot, orange, malt whiskey, coffee, patchouli, cedar, peat, vanilla, amber and musk. Yeah, the whiskey note is the major player in this fragrance and it gives it a genuine booziness and masculinity. This is not a fragrance that I would wear for a formal occasion. It's not meant to be elegant. If this fragrance was a movie character, it would be Mickey O'Neill from the film Snatch. It's got a gritty dirtiness to it, but it's still super cool and will knock you out if you disrespect it and spray it more than 2 sprays. This one will always be in my winter rotation alongside Pure Havana, which is also one from the Amen lineup. If by any chance you haven't smelled this, I recommend that you do soon because it will be it's a very interesting experience. Yeah, very masculine, great fragrance, and give it a try. This is Amen Pure Malt. Okay, the next one on this list is another one from the house of Mancera, and this is Oud Café Eau de Parfum. So yeah, if you like the note of coffee, then you're in for a real treat with this one. I really enjoy coffee fragrances and I find them really relaxing and comforting. The notes listed in this are peach, blackcurrant, bergamot, amber, floral notes, coffee, white musk, sweet notes and woody notes. So when I first sprayed this, all I got was a really strong blast of licorice. And I was amazed that licorice wasn't actually listed in the official note breakdown. But this soon disappears during the dry down and then the coffee starts to take over and becomes a really refined, perfectly blended masterpiece for a relaxing cafe environment. Some people can detect a note that resembles celery, and I have to admit that I can actually pick that out when I go looking for it, but it's not something that instantly stands out or you would normally notice. Performance on this one is 8 to 9 out of 10 for me. There's people that say it performs terribly on their skin, but for me this projects really well and lasts all day. This is another one for the cooler months of autumn and spring, and it's one that suits having a chill out day in your local coffee shop or relaxing on the sofa in front of the TV. It's just really warm, it's really comforting, and yeah, I would definitely recommend that you try this one out. I really enjoy this one. I also enjoy Killian's Intoxicated, but this is nothing like that whatsoever, but it's just a different take on the coffee note. So yeah, please try that one out. That is Mancera Oud Café. Okay, so that's about it for this week's fragrance rotation. Don't forget, if you live in the UK and you'd like to test any of the fragrances mentioned in this video, I'm now selling 5ml decants of all the ones featured, as well as many others. All the links are down in the description below. Also, if you found the video helpful or you've just enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a like, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications of future uploads. I really appreciate all the positive comments and support that I've received in such a short period of time. I hope you all stick around, and I will continue to keep making content and hopefully grow the channel. So until next time, keep smelling fresh, keep smelling great, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.